Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3 Wide TV, tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports Series from the Kansas Speedway. It is the HarpoonDesigns.com 180 here at the Kansas Speedway. It is the final race of the round of 8. After tonight, we'll find out what 4 drivers will have their ticket to play next week for the championship at Homestead, Miami. I'm Peter Shorten. Alongside me here tonight for all the action is none other than Andre Grandbush. And Andre, a very, very nice racetrack here tonight, and a beautiful sunset as well, gracing the racetrack right now.
Yep, sun is going down, but the cars are heating up. They're out there putting down some practice laps, getting ready to run 130 laps, I believe, here at Kansas. So quite a ways to go. On the scoring pylon, looks like TJ Elaine is going to be quickest so far. 30.85, but then look at Philip Scott with a 30.86. Don't get much closer than that. Then a 30.87 out of Newton, so heavy competition for the podium. And you got Tom Lester in the 48. He's at a 31 flat. Adam Dama just behind him. Mike Floppy Tellier not too far trailing Dama. Then you got Miller, Ratcliffe, and Shue. So pretty good lap times all across the board. These guys just finishing out their practice. But how about that? TJ Elaine putting down a pretty good lap.
Yeah, we've seen Elaine be fast here tonight. Does need a good night here tonight. Comes into tonight 5th place in points, just 1 point behind Mike Floppy Tellier. Tellier is currently 6th on the board, so we know Elaine needs a good night if he wants to jump into the top 4. Christopher Pendle is currently the driver leading the point standings. Got that win last week at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that has put Pendle into the championship fight next week, but still plenty to play for all the other drivers here in the playoffs here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Of course, we will have a stage caution here tonight as well, so we'll be keeping our eyes on when that caution flag falls, because some extra bonus points will be handed out, Andre, and of course when those bonus points get handed out, that can sway things one way or another, as that stage is expected to come out at the end of lap number 30 here tonight. Speaking of the end, the checkered flag has been thrown here on practice. We'll jump over here into qualifying. You'll see the ticker there on the left-hand side of the screen refreshes as we move over. A little bit of a smaller field here tonight, just 11 cars, so it is going to be important, Andre, that you finish up near the front if you're one of the top 8 drivers in points. I do believe Garrett Gleason was not here last week as well at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Garrett probably taking the night off to watch some football. He has been eliminated from playoff contention. So really, Brent McKee, Thad Miller, TJ Elaine trying to race their way in. Elaine, like I said, 1 point out. Thad Miller is 14 points out of the playoffs entering tonight, and Brent McKee has a lot of work to do, 21 points for the driver of the number 29 winner earlier this season at the Monza road course. But out there on the racetrack right now, first car out there on the racetrack, Jason Shue in the number 3 machine, working his way through turn number 3 and 4. A little bit of a new look, usually with some type of Dale Earnhardt or Kevin Harvick-inspired throwback scheme here on 3 Wide TV. But the number 3, sporting a Texas Roadhouse Toyota Camry tonight.
Yeah, looking more like shades of Austin Dillon, I think, than anything else. So, yeah, definitely a new paint scheme for him. We've seen the blue number 3 with the 3 wide on it. We've seen the Kevin Harvick number 3 with the white and the red, and then of course the Dale Earnhardt scheme he's run so often. But honestly, I think this might be the first time he's deviated from those schemes since we were in the Truck Series. So that's something. But he's going to put down his qualifying lap. It's a 31.58. He's going to put him 3rd on the scoring pylon so far. I believe this is going to be coming to complete his 2nd lap. Here comes Adam Dama. He's 2nd on the board, 31.19, which is not a bad lap by any stretch of the imagination for Mr. Dama. Let's see if this is going to be his 2nd lap or if he's just out here practicing still. If it was a 2nd lap, it did not improve. So 1.9 on the board. Ratcliffe currently shotgun of those who have posted times 31.67. But he's actually going to improve on his 2nd lap and just barely dethrone Jason Shue by something to the tune of 0.03 of a second. And then Philip Scott, from coming out of nowhere, is going to take 2nd on the pylon. But then, as we say that, here comes Adam Newton and TJ Elaine drivers posting phenomenal times. Miller in the 81 just posted his time, 31.63. But Adam Newton, that's a driver to kind of keep an eye on. He's in a pretty good point situation. He won so many consecutive races at the start of the season, but Peter, it's been a while since he's visited victory lane in that number 4, and I bet you he's going to be hungry to get back. But if he's going to do it, he's got to dethrone Philip Scott, because look at that time, Peter, almost 2/10 on the next car.
Yeah, well, I saw his first sector split. He was 0.05 of a second up on TJ Elaine after the first half of the lap, and then he picked up another 0.06 of a second in the back half of the lap on the number 51 machine. So add those together, 0.13 for Philip Scott, sitting atop the board. Mike Tellier out there on the racetrack right now. He's got the Scott Riggs throwback, the number 47 there on your screen. I have to say, I think Chris Darling, who used to be here in the National Sim Racing Association, was a giant Scott Riggs fan, always running Scott Riggs schemes, and I honestly made this will date me, Andre, but there was a racing league back that I used to run in called the Highline Racing League, and I raced for a certain said Darling, and the first paint scheme I ever ran was that paint scheme right there on your screen in that league. I didn't even have a steering wheel at that point, Andre. I literally had to use a keyboard to drive, and it was very painful.
Whoa. You what?
Yeah. I used WASD. Yeah, WASD.
You didn't even use the mouse to steer? You used the keyboard.
Yeah, but I mean, NASCAR Racing 2003 also had steering assist, so I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't have that also turned on.
I mean,
but it was
even with them though, I've played that game with a keyboard, even with the assist. It's not fun. That's some dedication. I'll give you that, Peter.
Yeah. The thrill of racing. That's one way to put it. Is Tellier is going to park it here on the front stretch. He's going to be fourth on the board, as you can see from the grandstand there, Andre. They have not redone Kansas Speedway since the Grand Am series was still a thing before it became the IMSA series. As you can see that Grand Am. In fact, I gotta say, I don't think Grand Am has raced at Kansas Speedway in quite some years. So meanwhile, we will get the grid all lined up for everyone back at home. I want to apologize to everyone at home just a little bit. If you saw one link for this race and then you clicked on another link and then you might have clicked on another link, YouTube has been a little bit screwy here tonight, unfortunately. So I've made the other ones unlisted. So hopefully if you stumbled upon us here tonight, you got the right link, you see the right link. But if you're still waiting to watch us go live, well, that's why. Unfortunately, it was a YouTube hiccup where I created it and then I couldn't see it. So that happened to me a couple of times, but nonetheless, here we are gridding up live on YouTube, getting set for the Harpoon Design 180. And speaking of Harpoon Designs, well, Philip Scott is our Harpoon Design Pole Award winner here tonight with a 30.87, just about 0.13 of a second faster than TJ Elaine. Adam Newton, Mike Floppy Tellier will be making up your second row, while Tom Lester and Adam Dama making up row number 3. Lester, one of those drivers trying to stay in the top 4 points in points here tonight. Thad Miller and William Ratcliffe will be on row number 4. Jason Shue, Brent McKee, row number 5. And rounding out our 11-car grid here tonight, Jimbo Casterline in the number 18. Stay tuned esports machine. We'll see Jimbo hopefully get out there on the racetrack. Don't think he put or did not put a qualifying lap time in. Neither did Brent McKee. So both of those drivers did not elect to take time. In fact, so far, yet to see Jimbo appear. Hopefully all is well with our good friend Jimbo, as we see the iRacing pace car lights are off. Andre will get one pace lap in here once they finally start rolling.
Yeah, just one quick pace lap. We got some weather and session info up on the screen. You can see we've got 20 mile an hour wind, which, normally I wouldn't even mention the wind, but 20 miles an hour is definitely enough to give you a tailwind or a front wind there going down the straightaway, depending on which way it's blowing. That can affect the car. Partly cloudy, 75 degrees in the air. and a little bit of humidity as well. But this is the final race, as we've already mentioned, before going into the championship race next week. And while we are on this pace lap, Peter, you mentioned how old this scan of the track is. I was doing a broadcast with my buddy Corey the other day, and he made me aware of something that I'd never noticed at Las Vegas. Las Vegas has to be one of the oldest current scans in the game because there's a sign on the backstretch. I don't know if you ever noticed this. It says, "Thank you, Dale." And do you know which
Wow.
Dale it's referencing?
I would only say that it has to be the Dale that once upon a time drove a big brown truck.
Yep. Yes, sir. So, referencing...
That's pretty old.
yeah,
Dale Jarrett's been retired for a few years.
2009. He retired in 2009. So that scan of the track is getting up there in age. And in comparison to that, old Kansas don't look too bad. So there goes the pace car, and away it goes. The 99 machine is going to be opting for the outside lane, which is interesting here on the initial start. But Barney is going to get us underway here. Again, on the initial start, the race leader or the pole sitter does not have control of the field. They have to go on green. Every sequential restart after that, the race leader will be the control car. But look at this on the low line. TJ Allain, he was fast in practice. He's going to slot up a position and make a challenge for the lead door-to-door with the 99 and the 47. Big contact there. We've got 10 cars in this race. 2 of them almost just died. 3 wide now, the 81 down low. They gathered up. I don't know how they saved that, but I guess Peter's going to give us a better idea of how they managed that with the 3 wide TV replay. So going out into the corner, I was focused on this battle for the lead, but I think it's between Adam Newton. Oh no, the 99 just, it looked like he lifted there, Peter.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Philip Scott was lifting and caught out Mike Tellier. I mean, that is 2 race car drivers that, for all intents and purposes, they just wrecked. I mean, this is one wild save. It has allowed TJ Allain to take the race lead as we get one more look at this. But wow, that is one fantastic save out of both Tellier and Philip Scott. Back to live scenes now, as Philip has said, "Oh, Dama in the wall," and the number 28 machine back behind him. That hit the right-hand side of that Yoda Works Toyota, and he's back in the wall again. This is not good for Adam Dama. He's going to lose a lot of positions here. In fact, the spot that he just lost was to Mike Tellier, the 5th place driver. I was going to say that Philip has recovered up to 4th, and Tellier has now recovered up into 5th after that little kerfuffle on lap number 1. But like I was saying there while we were catching that last replay, it has allowed TJ Allain to get out to an early lead here over Adam Newton and Tom Lester there in 2nd and 3rd. But Allain, they're running that high line. Adam Newton and Tom Lester, at least from the glance I saw, Andre favoring that lower group here at Kansas. I've seen both work. I've seen that high line kind of be the fast line, maybe on a short run, and then I've seen maybe that low line help drivers save tires. I've seen that before. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this racetrack is racing with this particular setup here tonight, because Kansas, of all racetracks, that high line is, for whatever reason, has a little bit more grip. I don't believe this racetrack is progressively banked. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that high line here at Kansas in iRacing on this particular version of the track, it's really fast up there. It's difficult to make a pass on the bottom, but it can help you save tires down there.
It definitely can, and on fresh tires, the bottom is definitely more viable. But as the tires wear, the bottom's going to get looser and looser. The car is going to be less stable. So they're going to migrate up towards the wall slowly but surely as the run goes on. And, I mean, if you can save some tire and you can run the bottom longer than the other guys, maybe that's going to give you an advantage. But it's tough to save at a track like Kansas because it's a momentum track. You know, it's all about how much speed you're going to carry all the way through the corner and out into the straightaway. And to do that, sometimes you got to drive hard. You got to turn the car a little bit with the rear tires, steer with the throttle pedal. And of course, that might be fast around the track as far as hot lapping is concerned. But, as well as I do, Peter, that you do that too much, and eventually that car is going to be slower in the long run. It's going to eat away at those tires. So, balance. Try to save a little bit here and there where you can, but also don't let the field get too far away, because Well, TJ Lane is kind of looking to do just that. I mean, literally driving off into the sunset as we go on board. You can see that cotton candy sky. TJ Lane is pulling away further and further from second place Adam Newton and our current onboard car, Tom Lester.
Yeah, and what we have seen in the past here on 3Y TV, the Stay Tuned Sports series, as wow, that's a lot of pressure. I don't think I've ever seen the atmospheric pressure sit at 3,362,244 hectopascals.
I think everybody at Kansas is dead.
I was about to say the same thing. I think everyone has been crushed by the air pressure. I mean, your blood cells have been crushed.
I mean, is it the vortex theory, or did we do this?
Don't turn into Darryl Walter fund me there, Andre. I don't know, but for everyone's reference, I believe. Man, I'm trying to think what the standard air pressure is in hectopascals. I know what it is in inches of mercury. It's 29 point. I think it's 1,013 hectopascals. That's some of my flight simulator knowledge coming in. So 1,000 hectopascals or so is normal. 3,362,214 is not. So, but what I was going to bring up is whether or not the time was kind of multiplied by 2. But it looks like it seems like time is normal here tonight, even though the air pressure's not. The air pressure's definitely not.
Yeah, no. Air pressure not normal, but the time is progressing as expected.
I'm assuming that my graphic is just broken, Andre, and that's not an actual thing or bug right now in iRacing in the simulator. But Tellier in the wall, the 47 here of Tellier. Remember, he needs a strong run here tonight to guarantee a spot in the playoffs. The number 47 there, scraping the wall, has allowed Thad Miller, who's putting together a solid run here in the number 81 machine, to move up into the top 4. So good job there, Thad. Usually we have Thad in the chat. Stay Tuned Sports in the chat saying not feeling good all week, so he's parked on pit road. Good luck, guys. Go Dama and Ratcliffe. Darian Caitlin saying let's go Dama. RC Plane saying get well soon. Stay Tuned Sports. And Jimbo and saying what's up, commentary booth. How's it going, RC Planes number 59? RC Planes a big fan of Philip Scott and the number 99, currently riding there in 5th. And Jimbo saying, did I hit the wrong button again? Well, maybe you did there, Jimbo, but I don't know. Oh! I wonder if Jimbo's blaming himself for the air pressure fiasco. I don't think it's you, Jimbo.
No, I think that's just the graphic. You gotta love iRacing and racing graphics. The back end data, it does some goofy things, but on your screen, look at this, the 99. Trying to catch up to that 81 of Thad Miller. I'm trying to figure out why he's that far back to begin with, because obviously he started up front and seemed to have a good car. I don't know if he was intentionally saving or not, but bad news for Adam Dama. He's going to be coming down pit road, what I assume is prematurely in that 28 car. I know they do have slightly reduced fuel capacity, but I mean they can certainly go further than 14 laps. So not entirely sure what the cause of that is. Hopefully everything's all right in the 28 camp, but. Out front, Adam Newton trails our leader, TJ Lane, by about a second. Jack stand does go up, by the way, so they do have limited tire sets. Actually, no. Yes, jack stand does go up. It was almost hard to tell because the valence is so high on some of these cars with their setups, but they do have tire limits, so whatever he's using now, he will not have available later. He will also very likely go a lap down, maybe even 2 from this ordeal. Battle on your screen, the number 3, the number 95. It's going to be Ratcliffe and Shu. These two were kind of going back and forth in qualifying. Similar in pace for sure, and now close on track. But while this all sorts itself out, Peter, I have a bit of, let's call it a trivia game for you here, Peter.
NASCAR, I like those.
The NASCAR Cup Series track record. Do you think it is held at Kansas Speedway, the track lap record, by Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, or Kyle Larson?
Oh, good question. Thinking back to when these NASCARs actually were fast, I'm going to say Carl Edwards.
It's a good guess, but it's actually Kyle Larson
Really?
in the 2015 SpongeBob SquarePants race, where they had the absurd trophy that I cannot believe is actually in somebody's trophy case right now.
Oh, I have to go. I'm Googling this one. SpongeBob NASCAR trophy. We're real time. We are real time checking this one out on. Oh my gosh, that is.
I'm telling you.
That is a trophy, and then some.
Yeah, it kind of stares into your soul. I would not like looking at that in my trophy case.
For everyone of any note who wants to look in the chat, I'm going to post the link. It's to some article from some newspaper or something, but I have a picture of it. And oh gosh, I've given you a link where you're supposed to log in. I'll forget that. Don't you hate those? That's. I mean, yeah. I guess technically you have to. No, you don't even have to log in to watch 3Y TV here on YouTube. All right, let me try again. Oh man, I guess Jimmy Johnson ended up winning that trophy, huh?
Yeah, I believe it was Jimmy Johnson who drove away with that one. That's something to definitely add to the old trophy case. I don't know.
Yeah, I finally got a picture of it. I don't understand why he's got X's on the ice, but they're SpongeBob. But I don't know. Maybe I honestly think that the Stay Tuned Sports series could put together a better trophy than that SpongeBob that wants to eat your soul. Meanwhile, out there on the racetrack, Philip Scott here finds himself solidly in fourth. Meanwhile, we do have a battle for position between Jason Shute and Will Ratcliffe. These two have been duking it out, trading positions for the last 5 laps or so. At least for right now, looks like Shue's going to get better of Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe going to try and back up the corner. Can we see the old over-under? Not this time. Looks like Shue's going to hold on to the 8th position as they run. Not sure what happened to Adam Dama. Unfortunately, the number 28 has come down pit road, and it looks like it might be evening done for the Yoda Works Toyota. Andre, just wonder if maybe the contact that he had with the wall might have been a little bit too much. We do have one faster pair here, however. I thought maybe if he could tough it out to the stage caution that we know is going to happen on lap number 30, that maybe he would be able to get it all patched up and find a little bit of pace. Well, as I say that, I spoke too soon. The commentators just need to keep their mouth shut. As Dama hustling on the bottom side of the racetrack, you still see that right side damage. So he did not use a fast repair, Andre. But maybe something came up. Going to be scored 9 laps down in his race car. Of course, took on fresh tires as well. So we'll see how that all works out here in a little bit. Good news is, though, Andre, you'll get one of those 9 laps back if no one else goes a lap down with the lucky dog here coming up shortly.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot of cautions, and he's going to have to hope that nobody else goes a lap down, which next car in line, Ratcliffe in the 95, he's 14 seconds back, so that's about half a lap, give or take. It's going to be a while, and Adam Dama having some issues there, a little bit squirrely out of the corner, and the 48 to his outside into the wall. That was a bit scary for both those drivers involved. I believe the 47 just had a moment as well, so the handling maybe not agreeing with these guys too much, as we have seen a couple kerfuffles, so to speak. 47 trying to reel in Thad Miller in the 81, and the 47, I would assume, is working with some quite significant damage. He did get into the wall earlier in the event, and he couldn't get off of it. It's one of those situations where sometimes, especially at Kansas, once you're attached to that safer barrier, the game just thinks you are glued there. And until you get to the straightaway, you're not getting off of it. So when you scrape the wall the entire length of the corner, it's going to do some damage. And 47 definitely doesn't look quite as quick as it was at the drop of the green, but maybe you can get some of that damage beat out. And he is at least having the pace to try to make a move here on Thad. If you can get around him, that'll be to get back inside the top 5. And there it is, at least for the moment, he's got the advantage Going to run him up the track just a little bit, try to force him out of line, and then if all goes to plan, he'll slide up in front of him there, and that is another one off the list for Tellier. He's got a ways up the road, though, to Philip Scott. It's going to be about 6 seconds, Philip Scott is currently trailing our leader by about 4.8, so TJ Lane is dominating this event. He is now out to 2.7 seconds on his own. Nobody, no lap traffic to worry about ahead, at least not yet. Nobody close from behind. He's just clicking off laps left and right.
Yeah, and this is extremely important. TJ comes into tonight. We highlighted a little while ago, 1 point out of the playoffs behind the number 47 of Tellier that we were just focusing on there. So, Andre, this stint here is going to put TJ Lane into the top 4 as they run. So that's going to be extremely important if he wants to race next week at Homestead. Of course, he can always race his way in with a win. That's another way to do it. That's the surefire way to do it. But for right now, TJ Lane will be jumping above Mike Tellier. Of course, Tellier just made that pass on Thad just a couple laps ago. We saw that. And that's important for Tellier as well. I mean, every point matters. That's going to get Tellier an extra point here if he can hold on to that 5th spot when we see that stage caution here at the end of lap number 30. So just about 2 laps, less than 2 laps now, away from our one and only stage caution. But let's go and look at this battle for position, because Philip Scott has run down and caught Tom Lester. Tom's just going to kind of lay over, let Philip on by. So give Philip Scott an extra point here, as we will see a extra point awarded at the conclusion of this lap to the number 99. But Lester is, of course, one of the top 4 entering into tonight. Comes into tonight 3rd place in points, running in 4th. Not a bad spot. Of course, Philip Scott, not one of the playoff drivers. He kind of started the season a little bit late, but has been very, very good. 1 win to his name in his 6 starts so far. TJ Lane, though, comes out at turn number 4, wins the stage, the only stage break that we have that we'll expect to see here upcoming. Jason Shu in 8th appears to be the last driver to receive the playoff, or the stage points. He crosses the line, and a caution flag comes out here at the Kansas Speedway. So a bunch of clean and green racing in the opening 30 laps here. This is the first caution of the night, as we can see up there. Everyone in the chat, what do you think of what's going on out there? RC Planes 59 has been doing some interesting sleuthing for us, Andre, in the chat, saying that the highest adjusted to sea level barometric pressure ever recorded on Earth was 1,084.8 hectopascals, measured in Mongolia. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the town in Mongolia, in 19th of December 2001. And upon doing some thank you, RC Plane. See, I love this research, Andre. This is why chat is the absolute best. Upon doing research, 3.3 million hectopascals would be roughly the same amount of pressure as a gun barrel during the gun firing.
Yeah, I'm thinking everybody at Kansas is dead.
I'm thinking everyone at Kansas is dead. For those people just now tuning in, right-hand side graphic, these current weather conditions indicates 3.36 million hectopascals as the barometric pressure. Who knows? But we got our leaders on pit road here. I expect everyone to take tires. Just with how this race is going, Andre, they have 3 sets of tires on pit road, and we get in the first caution right here at the quarter race distance. So you can throw a fresh set on. You can take your second set at halfway, take your third set at the 3/4 mark, and you'll be good to go the rest of the race. Number 51, TJ Lane wins the race off pit road. Adam Newton, Tom Lester, Philip Scott. Although Philip here, Andre, is we saw him maybe get a little bit of damage early with that contact with the 47. Both of those 2 drivers still on pit road. Philip finally now rolling. Now Tellier becomes the question mark And just wonder how much damage they actually got with that contact there in turn number 3 on the opening lap.
Definitely seemed to be a fair amount. He did lag behind on pit road for a little while at least, and now he's getting back out and away. They're going to catch the pace car, get doubled up. We're going to get ready to go green again. We do have a replay, something that may have occurred here. Again, this is what happened to the 47, so keep your eye on the 99. It seems like he just got out of the throttle. I don't know if he got sideways or, what caused him to lift, but 47 was not prepared for it, and that caused him to get some front-end damage. And then, make matters worse, later on in the race, he got stuck on that outside safer barrier and rode it all the way around. He pulled a Ross Chastain. Here's a slow-mo of what happened. So the 99 into the corner. Everything's fine. Good distance between them.
Yeah, we went back a little bit far right to the very start of the race, but this will show that contact here as they went off into turn number 3, Andre.
Yeah, the 51 gets underneath, and I don't know what the cause of that. I mean, you do have to lift a little bit getting into the corner, of course, but it just seemed really abrupt compared to all the cars around him. I mean, the 51 was running a lower lane, and he didn't lift, which you would think the car down low would have to get out of the throttle a little bit. But either way, it gave the 51 some damage. He's got that fixed now, hopefully. See what he can do. But now, a little bit more Kansas track trivia. So that Kyle Larson lap that I mentioned, that is the fastest lap in a NASCAR-sanctioned race. Now, the fastest lap in qualifying is actually even faster than that. It was 2014. It was Kevin Harvick. He ran a 27.3, and you want to know what his average lap or average speed was throughout that lap, Peter?
I would guesstimate 187.8.
His average speed throughout that entire lap was 197.7 miles an hour.
Wee!
Given how much he slowed down in the corners, it's not absurd to think that he was easily doing 210 on the straightaways with that lap time, which is that's crazy.
Yeah, that's booking it around this place. I mean, what was that lap time that you said?
It was a 27.304.
Oof, boy. For reference here tonight, our best lap in this race, has been a 31.44. No, take that back. 31.15 second lap time by Mike Tellier. 31.15. Andre, that's the fastest lap we've turned in this race. You compare that to Harvick's lap time. That's like 4 seconds. That is mind-blowing.
Yes, it is pretty absurd how fast he was going at that point in time. We do have the pace car. What on earth just happened?
Well, I think caution flag's going to be coming out here shortly. No caution?
Oh boy.
No caution.
Oh,
William,
okay, there it is.
There's a caution. Flagman is asleep. Need to give him a shot of adrenaline or something. I'm looking away at live timing and scoring, still gawking at the lap time that Harvick laid down in qualifying, and I missed the action. Let's see if we can get a 3-wide TV replay dialed up here. What happened? Thad Miller had obviously a controller disconnect, steering wheel problems. That is definitely a hardware failure, and unfortunately, Will Ratcliffe is the one who gets kind of the worst piece of that. Let's see if we can get one more, another look at this. That's just really unfortunate. Here we go, on board with Ratcliffe. Really, unbeknownst to Ratcliffe, everything's going fine and dandy, and then all of a sudden gets a big shot in the right-hand side of the car, turns up into the wall. I think he might have also got a piece from Tellier. That's really unfortunate. Let's see if we can go on board with Thad Miller and see if we can see that kind of wheel disconnect. Here we go, on board. And yeah, just all of a sudden, the wheel just turns hard left, like in an instance. That is full lock left. That is a really unfortunate situation for a couple of these drivers, Will Ratcliffe being one of those. The good news, though, Andre, in this particular scenario, is they do have a fast repair. So if he did not use that fast repair by accident under the first round of pit stops, can come in and can actually use that fast repair, and that would be extremely beneficial in this type of situation. Thad Miller, on the other hand, with those steering wheel issues, looks like things might be fixed. He's back rolling, currently being scored 1 lap down, but tough break there for Thad. Maybe he had to disconnect the wheel and replug it in or something like that. I've had that happen to me before. It's rare when it happens, but Andre, that's one of the few things that we have that can randomly happen in sim racing.
Yeah, you have mechanical failures in real racing, and sometimes in sim you have mechanical failures just from the hardware that you're racing on. Could be a monitor, could be a wheel, could be pedals. I know. I myself, I almost thought I was going to get like a suspension from iRacing not too long ago because I was running an A Open, which I don't race on iRacing all that often. I race on a controller generally when I do, but I was in an A Open, and my controller decided that going into turn 1 on lap 1 after qualifying second would be the best time to have a Bluetooth error and disconnect. So I pinged it off the wall. I couldn't Alt F4 out of the session quick enough. I collected probably half the field. Probably received many angry messages that I've never read. And somehow did not get suspended. I never got the email. But hardware failures, they can definitely ruin your day in sim racing.
I would try and summarize what those messages probably that ended up in your inbox
Not suitable for the
were like. Yeah, we'll just put that to the side. But meanwhile, pace car lights continue to twinkle here after that issue here on the restart. Looks like a couple of these drivers though taking the opportunity come back down pit road and maybe take a splash of fuel. Although probably more importantly, Andre, is some of the drivers that might have still had damage like Tellier or might have even got damage under his caution like I think Tellier may have, just to come down and beat on those fenders a little bit more.
Yeah, Tellier, Ratcliffe, a couple of them guys definitely got some damage. And while they continue to pace around the track and try to get damage fixed up, I have a little bit more trivia about Kansas Speedway. I'm going to be doing this all night, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna keep this entertaining. But the overall fastest lap of the oval circuit ever turned, predictably, did not come from NASCAR, but it came from the IndyCar. It was Scott Dixon in 2002. He ran a 24.7 second lap. His average speed was 218 miles an hour in that Indy car. Pretty much flat out, no lifting, of course. Scrubbing away a little bit of speed in the corners just from the friction of steering, but no actual lift out of the throttle. 218 in a car that has no cockpit. At the time, 2002, a little to no safety features. I don't even think there was safer barrier at Kansas in 2002. So, I mean, put yourself in those shoes. That's outright terrifying. And they did that all the time. That was half the schedule for IndyCar back then.
But the wild thing about that is that it's Scott Dixon that did it. I mean, the guy has written almost the entire, at least at this point, it seems like the entire record book in the IndyCar series. He's still going strong, still winning races, won another, I think, 2 races this season. This past season. He's been going now for over 20 years and has been winning races for over 20 years. Meanwhile, trying to win a race here tonight is the number 51 machine of TJ Elaine. So far, Andre, I want to say Elaine has led every single lap that we've had here in the HarpoonDesign.com 180. Big shout out to tonight's race sponsors. If you have not checked out HarpoonDesign.com, there is a link in the description of the video. In fact, you know what? I will link that while we go back green. Meanwhile, let's check out this battle a little bit back here. Tom Lester right behind Brent McKee. McKee washing up the racetrack a little bit out of turn number 4. They'll be side by side coming to the stripe to complete the 42nd lap here tonight. Do want to make mention, Adam Dama was the lucky dog for the second time here tonight under that last caution. The bad news for Adam is that now Thad Miller is the first car 1 lap down. So if a caution flag was to come out, it would go to Thad Miller. Of course, maybe Dama could take the wave around. But for right now, give the credit to Miller if another caution comes to the forefront. Speaking of the front, TJ Elaine out front by just about 0.2 of a second, but Adam Newton kind of sticking a little bit closer than we have seen so far here tonight.
Yeah, he's keeping with him, at least for the time being, on these fresher tires. They're kind of clicking off more similar laps. 0.4 of a second is the difference, and I think Elaine is pulling away just ever so slow. Well, I say that, and then Newton kind of slingshots back. He brings it from 0.4 down to 3. Excuse me, I had to sneeze there. Down to 3. He is going to gain a lot of time through the final set of corners, now down into turns 1 and 2. Let's see how Elaine counters that. He's actually going to pull away on corner entry, but then on corner exit, look at this run that Newton is getting. He is slowly but surely closing in. McKee not far behind in a battle of his own. He's got Tom Lester in the 48 breathing down his neck, trying to get around him up onto that podium. So battle for the lead, battle for second. We're watching it all happen. That number 4 just trying to he's playing a very fragile game here, Peter. He's trying to definitely stay in the slipstream on the straightaways and in the tri-oval. You want to be behind that guy and maybe gain a little bit of momentum on the straights, but you don't want to be behind him in the corner. You want to try to run a different line, get yourself out of that dirty air, and that's hard to do. I mean, if the top is fast, you have to be up top. Well, if he goes up there too, puts you in the dirty air, there's not much you can do about it, and that's exactly what Elaine is doing. He's actually gained about a 1/10, and he's doing it because he's moved up to the top. He's put that 4 in a position he does not want to be in. He's got him in that turbulent air, and that's going to make things difficult for Newton. Now, Elaine really shined before the caution occurred on the long run. That's where he seemed to be faster than everybody else. So we'll see if he starts to pick up the pace and pull away, or if Newton continues to stick with him.
Sorry, let out a big cough there. I don't think anyone wants to hear that back at home. But speaking of coughs, coughs have to do with air coming out of your lungs. And RC Planes in the chat continuing to research the fact that the current barometer breeds 3 million hectopascals here on the racetrack, says that upon research, a person's lungs would collapse and they would immediately suffocate. So yes, everyone in Kansas is indeed dead. I imagine the cars would be crushed to a pulp as well. So Andre, I think we're right in saying that at least this is a virtual game where the cars are cartoon race cars and the drivers are cartoon drivers, where they can live in a 3 million plus hectopascal environment, but hasn't deterred the racing. That's for sure. As we got side-by-side battle for third, as Lester able to scoot on by McKee. And look, here comes Philip Scott. Andre, I was a bit curious to know how Philip would perform under this run. He had that big slide on lap number 1, maybe damaged his tires a little bit in that run. It seems like he might be a little bit more competitive under this particular run, although, whoa, McKee sliding up right in front of him. He's going to have to cut back underneath. We're side-by-side for fourth. Looks like Philip's going to have a strong run off into turn number 3 and move the World Ninja League number 99 up into fourth again.
Yeah, that was a very close call with McKee sliding in front of him, but there was just enough room, so no harm, no foul. But Philip Scott now on slightly more level ground with regard to the tires. He's able to get around McKee. Maybe he can get around Tom Lester on the top if he gets good momentum here. That would put him up on the podium. But these guys are quite a ways back from our leader. Elaine and Newton, they have stayed about 0.4 of a second to 0.5 of a second, kind of fluctuating for the majority of this run. Now we're going to swap rules. The 48 was on the bottom before, and now the 99 goes down low. And he's not going to get clear. He almost did, but unfortunately going to have to make that quick flick of the wheel down to the apron because he did not complete the pass. He's going to have to try again now down into turn 1. Brent McKee right behind, watching it all go down. And it looks like on that high line, Tom Lester is going to defend. He's going to get a good run. Back onto the podium, the 48 goes, so he is not rolling over for Philip Scott. He is saying, look, I'm getting every point I can. Of course, Philip Scott not being in the playoffs, he doesn't really have a dog in the fight trying to get to the final round, but he's trying to win every race he can. He's got every right to be out here battling, and that's what he is going to do. He's not going to let the 48 get too far away. Back to the bumper, now the high line. I think that's where Philip is definitely more comfortable. He's comfortable up top, gains a lot of momentum. Problem, though, is just completing that pass. Now it looks like he may be able to do it. Tom Lester giving him the lane. He's going to move down the track. And wow, big lift out of the 48. The 99 going to surge forward. I think by the time they get to the tri oval, this could be it. Is it the move? Yes, it is.
The move Philip up into the third position and onto the podium, about 4 seconds behind Adam Newton, who really isn't letting TJ Lane get too far out front. Now, a little bit further back, this is the battle for the fifth position. Tellier wants it. McKee at least had it. As they make contact, they're beating and banging off into turn number 3 at 175 plus miles an hour. It's like Tellier will use that little fender rubbing to maybe hold on to that spot, Andre, but this is a little testy here in the mid-pack.
Yeah, and, I could imagine these guys back here are driving a little bit frustrated. Oh boy, contact between the 29 and the 47. That's not going to end well. I don't think Mike's going to be happy about that. And he wasn't. He was not happy about that, Peter.
No, McKee's trying to save it. McKee did save it, so green flag stays in the air. I've raced with Mike, and I know that Mike, let's go back a little bit further. Let's kind of see, this is, I think, McKee running up the first time into Tellier there, and
No, honestly, that wasn't even Mike retaliating. I think the 29, I mean, it's a bit of a wonky camera angle, but to me, it looked like the 29 came back down. He was trying to maybe finish the job. So we're going back a little further now. So this is on the tri-oval. They're going to make contact. The 29 is going to get tight in the corner, and he's going to kind of put his right rear quarter panel to the left front of the 47 right there. Now the 47 falls behind, but he gets a run out. Now watch that 29. Yeah, he turns down. I mean, I can't blame that on Tellier at all.
Yeah, and the number 29 made one heck of a save. We can see what that save looked like. Let's go on board with the kind of the gyro cam again, going back a little bit further. This will give everyone kind of a good picture of what happened. Goes off into turn number 1, a pretty shallow entry into the corner, washes up. You can see those white marks there on the racetrack, and then kind of gets on the straightaway, and I think Tellier might have expected him to be a little bit higher, but either way, one heck of a save out of the Red Bull number 29 machine. He was all types of sideways. We've seen some great car control out of some of these drivers when they've experienced a little bit of adversity here tonight. We saw, of course, there on the opening lap, we've alluded to it a couple of times when the 99 and Philip Scott and the 47 of Tellier both went for a slide, and then we saw Adam Dama with a big save earlier in the race, and now that big save out of the 29 of McKee, because Andre, I thought that the 29 was going to be headed into the inside wall when I saw that, and then when we kind of were able to finally cut to him, I thought, well, surely he'd bounced off of the inside wall, but no, was able to stay off of it, holds on to the 7th position in front of the number 95 of Ratcliffe.
Yeah, now he's just looking at maybe trying to get a caution to get grouped back up and seeing what he can do, but until then, he's just got to click off his laps and try to remain consistent. Don't panic, don't overdrive. Plenty of race left. We're just approaching the halfway point. TJ Lane out to about 9/10 of a second lead now. So again, that long run, just like the first stint, proving to be pretty good for TJ. Now I've got another trivia question for you about Kansas, Peter.
Ooh, right on the halfway mark.
So the very first NASCAR event, NASCAR Cup Series race, took place on September 30th, 2001, here at Kansas. Who won that race? Was it Joe Nemechek, Greg Biffle, or Jeff Gordon?
Well, I know who won the very first Cup race here. I don't. Is the question the very first Cup race, or is it like
the very first Cup race?
Okay, first Cup race was won by Jeff Gordon. I know that one.
Yes, it was. Now, fun fact though, Joe Nemechek did go on to win at Kansas. He was driving for MB2 Motorsports. That was one of only 2 victories that team ever got in their decade and a half of existence. And it came right here at Kansas with Joe Nemechek in the 0-1 machine. So that was interesting. That was in 2004. So a lot of
Oh, race
history here.
leader in the
Kansas and the
wall.
race leader. We get a little bit greedy on corner exit, grab the throttle a little bit too much. Tires getting tight and not really having it.
Yeah, we'll let him flash by here, see if we see any appreciable damage. Of course, the Chevrolet here on your screen. I think that's 7 Days to Die. Isn't that right? Isn't that the game? I think that's a video game, and I think that's what he's sporting on the front. Of course, Stay Tuned Sports on the side quarter panels of Elaine's machine, but looks like he's still holding on to a second lead, not really losing any time to Adam Newton behind him. So maybe just a glancing blow for the number 51, but I'll let you get back to any other trivia you might have. I do remember that Joe Nemechek win. It was out of the blue. I'm just trying to remember the other race that MB2 might have won. Was that a Johnny Benson win at Rockingham Speedway, if I recall?
I'm not fully certain. I can't see what the other win was. I just know they only have 2. And that was one of them. Honestly, it may have been Johnny Benson because I believe he was with MB2 for a while, and he did get that win. That would make sense to me because not long, I think it was after Johnny Benson, they merged with DEI, and they weren't even close to competitive then. So,
well, maybe we
see.
Yeah, maybe we can get, or maybe we can get someone else in the chat as well. But I think it was that the number 10 car that Johnny Benson used to run back with Valvoline on the hood. But I'll tell you what, those were good days of NASCAR, and those were the years that I became a NASCAR fan. I was a motorsports fan prior to NASCAR. I was a motorsports fan. I watched Formula One, in 1999, 2000 or so. But it was the first real NASCAR race I sat down and watched. A lot of people will go back and have obviously buried memories of the 2001 Daytona 500, and that was the first ever NASCAR race I sat down to watch. And of course, upon the news that Dale Earnhardt had died, I remember exactly what I did after that race. We went to a grocery store, and it was on the way back from the grocery store that I'd heard the news that Dale had died. And, I was in shock, but I had to tune in the next week and see what was going to happen the next week. It was crazy. So I tuned in the next week, and of course, Steve Park got that win at Rockingham Speedway for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. And I tuned in the week after that. They went to Las Vegas, and there was this new driver in the number 3, what was then the number 3 machine, number 29 of Kevin Harvick, of course. And he finished inside the top 10, finished 7th, if I recall correctly. And then, of course, the next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Kevin got his first win in his 3rd career race, which I always thought was something special about that. But of course, it will go down as one of NASCAR's greatest finishes of all time as well. So, but that was captivating. So I have a really good memory of the 2001 season, because I got into NASCAR that season, and so yeah, I can tell you, Jeff Gordon won this race. I can tell you that this was very similar to Chicagoland. They both made their debut. The 2 racetracks that are so similar, Andre, D-shaped 1.5 mile ovals. It's kind of odd they both ended up on the calendar for the first time in the same year back in 2001.
And they were more similar back then because Kansas didn't have all this banking. It was a little bit more flat, like Chicagoland was. So it was very similar. Also, I did pop a goob. So MB2 Motorsports' other win, you were right. It was Johnny Benson at Rockingham, the 2002 Pop Secret 400. They also have a non-points win, if you want to count that. It was with Ryan Newman at Daytona. So they had a non-points win. I didn't know Ryan Newman ever did anything to do with MB2 Motorsports before he got to Penske, but apparently he did, so that's fascinating. Out front, though, on the race that is going on, TJ Lane now 1.1 seconds, so not quite getting out to the lead that he was getting out to in the first stage, but definitely still showing that he is the dominant car. Philip Scott did eventually get around Tom Lester in the 48, and that got him up onto the podium, but he's still lagging behind by about 4.5 seconds, so not really closing in, and it's not really fluctuating. The gap is just kind of remaining where it is. Tom Lester behind him, 9 seconds back from the leader. Mike Tellier, 10 seconds, and then unfortunately for McKee, he is getting closer and closer to going a lap down if this should stay green. 21 seconds back. He's definitely going to need a caution to help him. That would happen. But the closest car to going a lap down is going to be Ratcliffe in the 95. It's a bit of a wounded horse. He's got no tailgate, no rear bumpers, so definitely kind of limping around the track if he can. He's 26 seconds back, which is just about 4 or 5 seconds away from being lapped. And he comes down pit road to avoid really dealing with that on track. He's going to take tires, and I think this is to be expected, Peter. I think we're going to see the leaders come down pit road as well. There goes Adam Newton into the pits. We're on lap 72, so I think you're right. The strategy, had that caution not come out when it had. Oh, a little bit overshooting the stall there. Looks like he might have got it. He did. But I think the strategy would have been 30, 60, and 90, but with that caution coming out at 40, everybody pit, and I think it kind of offset the strategy by about 10 laps.
Yeah, TJ Lane coming on pit road with, honestly, a little bit of a conservative pit entry. Got down on the apron a little bit sooner than we usually see people try and dive down onto pit road, but good news about a conservative pit entry is that you limit the possibility of mistakes. But the number 51 coming down, Andre, we have to say with 50, or just under 50 laps to go, I think 50 or 48 laps to go. They were last on pit road around lap 40 or so, give or take a few laps. So kind of interesting to see if at least Philip Scott pitted on lap number 39. I'm just kind of curious to know if maybe Philip Scott here is thinking of trying to go 40. I don't think he would be able to. I don't think he'd be able to quite stretch it on fuel to the end. Well, we will wait and see. But Philip did come down and top off under that last caution flag, the second caution flag of the night. So he does have a little bit extra fuel on board. Probably can go an extra 3 or 4 laps from here. But I don't see him making it into the realm where he can make it on just one more stop. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. We have been surprised before here on 3 Wide TV. So keep your eyes on that number 99. Will he be coming down pit road this time? Doesn't look like it. He's up there on the top side of the racetrack. So, Andre, I think we've got to keep our eyes on possibly a slightly different strategy if maybe Philip can hold out on fuel.
It could be. And, I mean, to the viewers at home, to clarify, we don't really have specific fuel data. And, you know, that's not something that iRacing really provides. We can't look and see what the estimated run is for these guys. But even if we were to pull somebody in and ask them, hey, what's your fuel mileage? They're not going to tell us the truth. Racers are not going to give us their information, even if it's something as simple as fuel mileage. I had a broadcast not long ago, Peter, where it was a tire limit. There were 3 sets behind the wall, and we saw one of the competitors come down on like lap 10 for a caution, and the jack stand went up, and we saw it go up on both sides. He took tires, and we were thinking, man, that must have been a mistake. He didn't mean to take tires. There's no reason to take them 10 laps in. So we asked him, we said, so what was the reasoning for taking tires? He says, oh, I didn't take tires. At the end of the event, he finally told us, yeah, no, I was behind on tires. I accidentally took them, and I didn't want anybody to know. So we literally saw him take the tires, and he still told us in the booth, I don't know what you're talking about. Didn't take tires.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't take any tires either. But out there on the racetrack, still, Philip Scott continues to click these laps off. If he could make about another 3 more laps, 2 or 3 more laps, I think it's doable. I think it might be doable where he can make it to the end of the race on just one more stop.
It's gonna be close, but yeah, I think you're right. If he can do that, that is gonna be a really good strategy play. I think let's see, where is Adam Newton being scored right now in that formation? So he just got his lap back the old-fashioned way, but he's guaranteed to have to stop one more time, I believe. Whereas if the 99 keeps going, he's only got one more stop. That could be a huge power play. I don't see any way that just doing the one stop is going to be slower, even riding around on older tires.
Oh, I thought maybe Philip was going to come down pit road. He was a little bit lower on the racetrack than usual. He makes it to lap number 80, so he's made it 41 laps. Now, some of those laps were caution laps, so we have to remember that. But like I said, if he can go maybe 1 or 2 more laps, I think he'd be okay. But we're hearing a problem out on the racetrack. Bren McKee, the number 29 machine, has stopped on the circuit. Let's see if we can see what happened to the number 29 machine. He was coming out of pit road and, well, reminiscent of what happened to Philip Scott earlier this season at Monza, just kind of pulled over to the side of the track. I'm not sure what happened there, but McKee had to take a tow back to pit lane. We'll get one more look at this and just on board. Just no, I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Just pulls down onto the side of the track.
I think he just had enough fun for one night. That might be the case. Pulling it off, and I think he was struggling with the handling. Our race leader is on pit road, by the way. Well, our former race leader. So on lap 81, he's going to have to go 39 laps. But I think it's doable. Might have to do a little saving, but we could be looking at that. Is going to be the final stop potentially for Philip Scott, and if that's the case, that could be the race-winning move. Now, right now, Tom Lester is leading the event. He's got Mike Tellier behind him. Those two have yet to come down pit road, but Adam Newton, he has pit. TJ Elaine, 2 seconds behind Newton, he has also pit. Now, the thing about Newton is he took a bit of an undercut. He was one of the first leaders to come down pit road, so he made up a lot of time, and that got him, I think, what will be the provisional lead once Tellier does come down pit road and once Lester pits. That being said, Elaine does have the fresher tires. He's probably going to run them down. It will equalize, as we would expect it to. Now, Peter, you got the last trivia question a little bit too easy. That was too quick. You knew it too well. So I've got one about Kansas that I could almost guarantee you would never in a million years be able to tell me. But since 2016, Kansas Motor Speedway has hosted an annual event that has nothing to do with motorsports. Can you tell me what that event is?
Andre, I used this factoid in TNR like 3 weeks ago.
Ah, God dang it, Peter. Why you got to do this to me?
Now, am I going to get it perfectly right? I'm not.
But well, for the viewers at home, because you're going to get it. And apparently the viewers may already know as well, because you use it on TNR. But it is the American Royal Barbecue competition, which I didn't know there was barbecuing competitions. But it really sounds to me like an excuse just to eat a bunch of barbecue, and I'm down with that.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that as well. You guys can tune in, as when I brought up the little race graphic, the race info graphic last time, I used that on my little info that I put up there. So two minds think alike, Andre. Meanwhile, Tom Lester, the number 48 machine, is on pit road, making his 5th pit stop of the night, believe it or not. The Fox Ford right there, about to be down and away, but that cycles everyone through to TJ Elaine. Big question is whether or not Philip Scott, who's only 15 seconds behind the race lead, will be able to make it the rest of the way. And I think the answer to that, honestly, will be yes, he will. That would be I think that would be a good strategy call if he can make that all pan out. Also seeing that Tellier and Shu are on a similar strategy call. So those 2 drivers those 3 drivers, we think will make it to the end. I'm not sure about Tom Lester. I think he might also be on that strategy call. So he just came down, made that pit stop. You're not seeing him a lap down. So I think Lester is also going to be able to make it to the end of the race. The more interesting thing about Lester, though, Andre, is that he actually went longer than everyone else. I think he came down on pit road on lap number 39. He made it all the way to lap number 84. So he made it a solid 45 laps or so. So that kind of gives us an indication that Philip Scott, Mike Tellier should be good. Jason Shue should be good. But it looks like TJ Lane, Adam Newton going to be short on fuel. Same thing with Thad Miller. They just pitted too early, I think, to make it the rest of the way. So, and you can kind of see from the fresher tire effect that Philip Scott's actually closing in on our leaders. So he doesn't have to pit again, and he's actually gaining some time on TJ Lane and Adam Newton. Those two still about a half second between them.
Yeah, definitely maintaining the gap. Elaine able to reassume the lead, but Newton, for having the older tires, still holding on pretty strong. Just kind of losing a little bit of time here and there. Philip Scott, 13 seconds back, but again, the difference here is that we believe Philip Scott may be able to make it to the end, depending on how conservative he is with the fuel and the tires. I'm not sure if these drivers pit and they get the fresher tires. I'm not sure they're going to have enough time to catch them on that strategy. So it'll be fun to see how it plays out. Tell you what, we're on lap 90 out of 120. So we now have 30 laps to go here at Kansas Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and take in the sights and sounds of Kansas and the barbecue competition that apparently everybody knows about except for me, and do a bit of a bring the noise.
All right, we ride on board with Tom Lester here in the number 48 machine. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of the noise here that these cars produce. And for right now, it looks like Tom Lester is in fifth. We've just been kind of wondering about the pit strategy that we're seeing out there. TJ Lane and Adam Newton are doing all they can. They're trying to hustle to make up the kind of the time to come down pit road, Andre, but the pit lane time here at this racetrack is about 45 seconds. So that is pretty darn significant that when Elaine and Newton, at least we believe they have to come down pit road one more time, they're going to lose a lot of time to Philip Scott, Tellier, Lester, who we believe can make it to the checkered flag. Let's remind everyone, though, of the point situation coming into tonight. Christopher Pendle, who, Andre, I'm actually a little curious to know. I've been in some leagues where the win and you're in goes away if you don't attend. You'd have to go back and really pry open the NSRA rulebook to figure out whether or not that's the case. But Christopher Pendle came in tonight as the points leader, kind of had punched his ticket to Homestead, Miami next week for the series championship, but not being here, maybe taking a provisional, that might also be a possibility, that maybe he's just taking the night off because the job was done. The job was done back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway last week to get into the final round. Adam Newton came into tonight second place in points, running second place on the track right now. Tom Lester rather, goes by Tom. I guess his iRacing name is Fred, but goes by Tom. Tom Lester came into tonight third place in points in front of Mike Tellier, and then TJ Elaine, who won stage number 1, came in just 1 point behind Tellier, has dominated this race as Adam Newton in the number 4 comes on to pit road with 22 laps to go. But Andre, the big question about TJ Elaine is just how far through the field will he fall when he makes his final pit stop. Adam Newton might be giving us a little bit of a key on that, as he has not even made it to his pit box. He's already dropped from 2nd down to 5th as tires go on the PPG Ford right now.
Yeah, so he's going to have 22 laps to try to run down the drivers on the one-stop strategy, if it does work out that way. It's going to be quite a gap to try to overcome in just 20 laps. Again, I'm kind of having my doubts about it, but I've been wrong before, so we'll see exactly how that plays out. But we do have TJ Lane coming down pit road as well. The 51 machine going to take tires, and that is basically committing them to the 2-stop. If caution comes out now, it's still not terrible for them. I mean, Philip Scott is going to have to pit regardless, but once he puts him a lap down, that's going to be a bit of a problem for sure. So I don't think a caution is very likely. We have just about 5 cars that are on the lead lap. One is a lap down due to the pit sequence, but other than that, small field, many cars a lap down, not really racing for much. I would say the likelihood of caution is, well, we'll say it's about the likelihood of the air pressure being 3,300,266 square pounds.
It was broken. It's just broken. But meanwhile, out there on the racetrack, here comes Adam Newton to try and unlap himself the old-fashioned way by getting around Philip Scott. But with 19 laps to go, he would have to be about 2 seconds a lap faster, just under 2 seconds a lap faster to close in on Philip Scott. I just don't quite see that as a possibility, but stranger things have happened. There's TJ Elaine in the background. Now, Elaine did pit a lap or two after the number 4, so Newton was able to use the undercut to get around Elaine. So that could be bad news for Elaine in terms of his playoff hopes here. His hopes of making it into the final round. Remember, he did win stage number 1, finished, I think, 4 spots in front of Mike Tellier. He, of course, has led laps today. That's also going to be beneficial for Tom Lester. I think they do bonus points for leading a lap here in the National Sim Racing Association. I can quickly check that, but I think it's going to be pretty tight on who is going to make it next week, based off the current running order. Tellier had that 1 point advantage. Elaine got a 3 or 4 point advantage under that first stage win. It looks like you do get bonus points for not only leading a lap, but you also get another bonus points for leading the most laps. And TJ Elaine has definitely led the most laps here tonight, so that's more credit to Elaine. TJ might just squeak his way into the round of 4 if they finish where they run, but Elaine is trying to run down Adam Newton for that 4th spot. That would be, I think, would seal it for TJ Elaine if he's able to get around that number 4 in front of him.
Yeah, now Adam Newton and TJ Lane on very similar tire strategy. I don't know if they came down on the same lap, but it was definitely within a lap or two of each other. So there's not really going to be a huge difference in terms of tire advantage. Both these drivers currently clicking off really good laps. They are 28 seconds, give or take, behind our leader. Now, I really don't think there's any way for them to catch up with Philip Scott. They would have to be about a second and a half faster per lap from here to even get to him, and that's not including the time that it would take to actually make the pass, so kind of doubt that's going to happen. But as we ride on board, Elaine's doing some things that maybe aren't very beneficial to his cause. Getting into the outside wall a little bit, that's going to give up some time to that number 4 machine, Adam Newton. Again, they're about a second a lap faster than Philip Scott, and that's just not enough, not even close. And again, into the wall, Peter, he is going full send. I think he knows how important that position on Adam Newton is, because he is trying to get everything out of his car that he can. But unfortunately, I think that dirty hair is kind of playing into didn't quite get it that time, but it's playing into how tight he's getting.
Yeah, that number 51 definitely just does not look like a happy race car, but we know he's hustling to get every little drop out of the speed with just 13 laps to go here in the penultimate round of the 2023 Stay Tuned Sports Series on 3 Wide TV. Want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat here tonight. Just checking out Adam Dama. Felt like it was around 39 to 38 laps on fuel. That's right on that window where we thought these drivers could make it if they were to save some. So 38 to 39 without saving, you can easily get yourself at least a lap or two by clutching it and saving fuel. As again, Elaine struggles with the outside wall, that time coming off of turn number 2. So we definitely think Scott and Tellier and Lester, all three of those drivers, will be seeing it out to the checkered flag tonight on this final tank of gas. And you have to say, Andre, we've seen fuel strategy come into play a couple of times this season, and it always makes for an interesting race. It keeps us on our toes all the way to the end, because you never know who's going to run out and when. Yeah,
I mean, according to what we've been told by Adam Dama, who he's not in the race anymore, so I don't think he's got any reason to mislead us up in a bit. I'm gonna trust you, Mr. Dama. He says it is just about 38 or 39 laps, which is precisely the distance that Scott needs to go. And I'm not fully convinced that Philip Scott is really attempting to do any saving at all, just judging on his lap times and the kind of gap that he's maintained to Tellier and all this. So it's going to be close. I guarantee you it'll be close. These two, though, definitely one of the most important battles on the track right now. As, Adam Newton, I thought he got a little bit sideways there, but he was just really flirting with the wall is all. And again, you talked about how important this position would be. If the 51 can get around Adam Newton, that would probably seal his ticket to the championship round next week. Again, we're going to put that in asterisks. We're not 100% sure. We don't have live point scoring and timing, but according to Peter's quick math, and again, into the wall, it's just, the car looks so tight, Peter. It is not fun. I know how frustrating it is to drive a car and fight that tight condition, and you're trying to get everything out of it you can. You know that you need to make that pass. You see the guy right in front of you, but the car just won't have it. Not fun, but he's got 9 more laps, I should say, to try to get it done.
Yeah, 9 more laps to complete that pass. You're not missing anything up at the front of the field as Philip Scott continues to lead by almost 6 seconds. As again throwing up a little bit of smoke. I gotta say, Elaine's doing all he can here. Maybe the number 4 there throwing up some sparks on the right-hand side. These two drivers here, Elaine and Newton, have both had really, really, really good seasons, and both of the drivers looking to try and punch their ticket into next week at Homestead, Miami. As almost contact there, Andre. Kind of shades of what we saw earlier with the number 29 almost getting into the 47. I think Elaine here, he's going to have to try and back up the corner, try and run that bottom side of the racetrack. You're going to have to run down there. There really is no room up top to make a move. You can't get to the outside of someone. here at this racetrack, or at least you can, but it's extremely difficult. You have to be pretty lucky for it to happen. Maybe the car in front of you to make a mistake, but Alain's going to have to look to the inside. He's going to have to. He's going to have to back up one of these corners, try and roll the bottom side of the corners. Again, he smacks the wall up off the corner. And I was going to say, really, you got when you want to set up that move, you have to get a strong run off of either turn number 2 or a strong run off turn number 4. Give you enough of a run to get maybe to the bottom quarter panel of the car. Maybe then you can just leverage your way in. Maybe do a little bit of a slide job, but we're seeing here that the 51 is really struggling with corner exit, hitting that outside wall. That is just not going to set him up for a run, although he's got a pretty good run here. Maybe, nope, not able to do anything quite with it as they go around into turn number 3. 5 more laps to go, and now the 51's in the wall. 51 in the wall. That is going to hurt his run. You see that gap that's formed now, about 0.6 of a second between himself and Newton.
Yeah, and he's only got 5 laps remaining in this event. That is a huge detriment. And again, I think that's all she wrote. Into the wall again, getting a little bit of damage, and now it's about a second between them, almost on the dot. So that's unfortunate for TJ. That might be what his championship hopes hinge on, is getting around that number 4. And unfortunately for him, that wall, we saw it earlier with the 47. He got into that safer barrier early on in the turn, and you just can't escape it. You can juke the wheel, you can get on the brakes, you can hit the throttle, you can do whatever you want. But sometimes you're just along for the ride, and I think that's what happened there. He scraped the wall so long, and now he's just outright pulling Ross Chastain moves. I don't even think that was an accident at that point, Peter. I think he's just going full send.
Well, we saw that one year. Who was it that threw the full send here at Kansas Speedway? Was that
Carl Edwards?
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I was going to. That's what I was going to say. But didn't want to be wrong. But you beat me to it. But yeah, I think Adam's solidly now going to take the number 4 machine home in P number 4. They're not closing in anywhere near enough on the cars in front of them. So Philip Scott's going to come around, folks, and we'll keep our eyes, see if he can stay under power here for another lap and a half as he powers down the backstretch. 7.7 seconds now on the number 47 of Mike Floppy Tellier out back. Tom Lester there in third, looking like he's going to put together another solid run here tonight. But before we wrap up the Harpoon Design 180, make sure to check out harpoondesign.com. Link is in the chat if you want to go down there and check out some of their Harpoon Design racing team logos, as well as all their other logos that they have put together. Really, really cool website, and really, really cool to see all those logos. They're all so pretty. They're all unique and really, really cool. But right now, Philip Scott working his way through turn number 3 and 4 for the final time here tonight in the Harpoon Design 180. Comes out of turn number 4, still under power. Gonna come across the line and take his second win of the season. Strong run for him. Mike Tellier going to come home on the podium in second. And Tom Lester also pulling that strategy to pick up third. Adam Newton going to hold on to fourth. And TJ Elaine is going to have to wait for points to be updated if he finds out if he will be next week racing for the championship as he throws it up into the wall. They're coming across the line. Andre, I got to say, TJ Elaine, I think, is a little bit bummed that he didn't use the strategy that this guy did.
Yeah, TJ definitely had the dominant car. He was the fastest driver, I think, by far. And unfortunately, he just got caught out on strategy a little bit. Philip Scott saw an opportunity and he went for it. Had to do a little bit of saving, but it worked out in the end. And of course, Mike Tellier as well, getting a podium out of the exact same strategy, not far behind our leader. So just a great call. And, it was a risk, of course. If a caution had come out, it would have completely toppled the whole strategy. And we've seen Philip Scott, everything falls apart in the final hour sometimes with him. But this time it worked out. It was a bold call, got him a win, and not a bad way to cap off this round of the playoffs and head into the final week.
Yeah, next week at Homestead, Miami, like you said, is the race for the championship. We're going to get some post race interviews lined up, though, for everyone here on the channel, starting with our third place finisher, driver of the number 48 machine, Tom Lester. Let's see if we can drag him up here into the 3 wide TV booth. Tom Lester, Peter Short, 3 wide TV booth. You got a copy? We'll try that one more time. Tom Lester, Peter Short, 3 wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, we got you. Great strategy call here tonight for that number 48 machine. Called the same shot that Philip Scott and Mike Tellier did, and you walk out with a podium. Didn't quite seem like you had the raw pace here tonight, but sometimes it's better to be smart than good.
Yeah, this is one of my bad tracks. I hadn't run it but twice. So I've been racing, so I just kind of bit the dust and come along with a decent finish tonight.
Well, let's talk about that strategy call to kind of save fuel there at the end. You actually went the longest, I think, of anyone here tonight on a fuel run, but that definitely puts you in the window. What was going through your head? What were you seeing that led to the strategy call to make it just a one stop there from the second caution?
Yeah, I was about 8 laps short, and I was able to save 6 of it on the first roundabout. So I was good by 3 at the very end, but overall had a decent race tonight.
Yeah, definitely a strong run for you. You said tonight was a weakness on the calendar for you. Next week we go to Homestead, Miami. You will be racing for the championship. What are your thoughts about Homestead?
I have run it about twice too, and that's not one of my favorite tracks. So I got a lot of practice to do this week.
Well, hopefully you can get those practice laps in and make a run for the series title. But before we let you go, Tom, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out to y'all, Jimbo, Adam, for all the help. Thank everybody.
All right. Well, Tom, congratulations. We'll see you again fighting for the championship next week at Homestead. Well, we'll let Tom Lester go out of the booth, and I believe that Andre Graham-Bush has caught up with tonight's runner-up, Mike Floppy Tellier.
Mr. Tellier, you got a copy?
I don't know who Mr. Tellier is, but I'm here.
All right, Mike. Well, it was a great race for you out there. I mean, you and Philip Scott both, I think you saw something. You saw an opportunity that I think a lot of other drivers overlooked. You made one less pit stop than the majority of the field and somehow got a podium out of it. How you feeling?
Well, actually, I made the same amount of pit stops, maybe a couple more. I was involved in all the shenanigans tonight.
That's right, you were.
I punted Phillip on the first lap, thinking I was letting off early to coast in the corner. But I mean, I should know Phillip. He loves trail braking, and he knows that's how you save tires. And I'm old and forget this sometimes, so I just ran into him. I don't know. I was dumb, and then I don't know what happened on a restart or almost a restart, but I guess a wheel disconnected or shut off and made someone turn left in front of me, and I got collected in that, and I made best friends with the wall numerous times. Like I had a exciting, adventurous race.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a boring one. It seems like every time we put the camera on the 47, something was happening. Sometimes good, sometimes not. But it's definitely a good finish and a good way to really start to round out the season, head into the final race next week. And speaking of, now that you got this podium and you see that you're able to overcome all the adventures, as we'll put it, how you feeling about next week?
Well, I think I'm 1 point short of the championship 4. I think TJ did enough in the stage by winning it, and I think I finished 6th. So being up 1, and then he gets 5, he's up 4, and then I get 3 positions, so he beats me by 1, I think. So I'm 1 spot short. I finished 1 spot short tonight. I mean, I'm starting to feel like Mark Martin, Mr. Number 2. I finished 1 spot short in the season opener with some controversy as well. Like, I just want a checkered flag.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Martin's not a bad comparison though. He did get his wins in time, so maybe next season, it'll be the redemption arc. But either way, coming up a little short, it's a whole lot better than coming up a lot short. And we know that 47's got a lot of speed. And want to congratulate you on the podium and wish you the best of luck going forward. Maybe shake that Mark Martin tag.
Yeah. Hopefully it can. You know what else is better than being a little short? Broadcasting with Peter Short.
I mean, yeah, it's always fun up here in the booth. Does a great job.
Yeah, you guys do amazing. So I appreciate broadcasting this season. It's always fun to be able to come up here and chat with you guys every once in a while. So hopefully I see you again a bunch next season.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for your time, Mike, and we'll catch you later.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right, Mike, tell you're out of the booth. Now I believe it is going to be race winner Philip Scott with Peter Short.
Yeah, I think at this point, Philip has got enough wins on 3 Wide TV. I don't think I've ever asked him this, though. Philip, you are a ninja, and of course, your favorite driver is Carl Edwards. Do you do a backflip after you win a race on 3 Wide TV? I think that's what everyone wants to know.
Unfortunately, no. I flips kind of scared me. Maybe on a trampoline. If you bring out a trampoline, I'll do a flip.
Okay. All right. We'll make sure that we bring a trampoline on the 3 Wide TV coach next week to Homestead Miami Speedway. But a great run for you here tonight. Honestly, it didn't seem like maybe you had the race pace, but you definitely had the idea, the mentality to try and save fuel. You did a great job of that, and that was able to put you kind of in the window to make it just one stop from the second caution of the night after a not so great restart for some of the drivers around you. But kind of talk us through the race. Contact early on lap number 1. It looks like you might have had some damage from that. Set you back, but then strategy kind of played its head in the second half of the race.
Yeah, so yeah, I kind of I took it a little too easy going into 3, and obviously early in the run you don't need to really brake, but I was just trail braking a tiny bit to try to rotate it, and so Floppy got just a little bit into me, but thankfully we both saved it. So that wasn't, so it ended up not being too big of a deal, and then after that I could kind of gauge how I was doing versus TJ. It was kind of tough because I was, mired back in traffic. So over the rest of the run, I was just trying to see how fast I was versus TJ because he had a rocket ship. And so I was just, checking the deltas every lap and stuff. And I had a pretty good long run. I was picking him off there. I got back up to 3rd at the end of the stage. And then after the stage, I was seriously thinking about trying to go for the fuel save even without that caution. So then I figured, since I was already mired kind of back, not up near the front where I wanted to. So then when the yellow came out, again, when the 81, I think, he had a steering wheel disconnect or something, he said, which is unfortunate. And so then after that, I just kind of tried to take it easy, but I tried to stay in front of the other guys on the same strategy, on the same fuel, so Floppy and Tom. And then so I just went until I couldn't, tried to balance it out where I could get a bit of an undercut on them. And then after that, so I got the undercut, and then I just kind of chilled. I was surprised that Adam didn't go for it. TJ, I figured, had no choice but to 2-stop. He didn't come in for fuel, so yeah, I felt pretty fast though. But especially long run, but we didn't really get to see the longest long runs, so yeah, but it was a lot of fun. This was actually, I believe, now we might have to dig back in the 3Y TV archives, but I'm pretty sure this is my first ever 1.5 mile win, which is hilarious.
I would be flabbergasted if that was the case, but I will say that I don't keep a running log of Philip Scott wins. To be perfectly honest with you, I know you've won in the past couple of months at a few various tracks, including earlier this week at Watkins Glen. 2 for 2 on the channel this week. That's mighty impressive. But trying to go for another win next week at Homestead, Miami. What are your thoughts of that 1.5-mile track?
Yeah, so I'm actually not that good at Homestead. I think in all the leagues I've ever done, I might have only gotten like one top 5 there before. And something about it just doesn't quite click with me on iRacing, because iRacing is just, a little bit different, the way the heat's applied to the track and the rubber and all that, the tire model. So, like, obviously, Homestead in real life, people are riding the wall, like, right up against there the whole time. And it's a little tricky to do that on iRacing. You burn up the right rear too much, and that just makes you way too loose. But I think it'd be viable as long as you go there later on in the run. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to practice, try to get better at that, because we got Homestead both in this series, and then in 2 weeks we got it in TNR. So got to get good at it.
Gotta get good at it. Get those practice laps in this week for sure, Philip. But before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Of course, worldninjaleague.org. This weekend we are doing a competition in the UK, so come check out our YouTube this weekend.
All right, pretty cool. Philip, why don't you drop a link in the YouTube chat if anyone wants to watch? Hopefully they'll find the kind of the YouTube chat as it was live, and they can click on that. But folks, that's going to do it with tonight's race winner, Philip. Congratulations again. We'll see you again next week for the season finale.
Thanks, man.
All right. Like I said, that's going to do it with our race winner, Philip Scott, in the number 99 World Ninja League machine. Good strategy call to stay out and save some fuel, Andre.
Yep, definitely made the right call, and that's what it came down to. So for once this season, something worked out for Philip Scott. Final race results before we leave you. Philip Scott taking the win. Mike Tellier, P2, just one position short, as he said. Tom Lester going to be third place in that 48. And outside of the podium, you got Adam Newton, TJ Elaine, Jason Shue, Thad Miller, William Ratcliffe, Brent McKee, Adam Dama, and Jimbo Castelline did not start the race. That is going to be the final race results.
And I'm clicking and trying to refresh the point standings on my other screen here, but that does not look like we will get an updated points tally. But I think Tellier is correct. I think Elaine may have just done enough. Well, yeah, I think Elaine just had done enough. I think by a point, maybe 2, just because of the fact that Tellier did not get any bonus. I don't think Tellier led a lap. So I think that with the 5th place finish, the bonus points for leading a lap, the bonus point for leading the most laps, and also the stage win, I think it is just enough for TJ Elaine to be racing with Adam Newton, Tom Lester, and I think Christopher Pendle next week at Homestead, Miami. I say that because Pendle wasn't in the race here tonight, so we'll make sure that we'll see if he gets a like a provisional for tonight's race. But nonetheless, it was a great race here tonight, regardless of the atmospheric pressure that we saw here at this racetrack, being over 3 million hectopascals. That was the hot topic of the night. But the pressure was definitely on here to perform in the penultimate round of the Stay Tuned Sports podcast series. So, folks, make sure you tune in 9 o'clock Eastern next week. That is October 26th here on 3 Wide TV. But for myself, Peter Short, Andre Graham Bush, and everyone else in the 3 Wide TV family, folks, stay safe and all that good stuff, and we shall see ya!